Hey everybody, welcome to the Rhapspired studio here at Rhapsody Music in Anthem, Arizona. So glad you could be with us today for one of our Rhapspired videos. Hey, we're going to take a little different journey with you today. I have with us a panel of folks. We have Sarah on the end, one of our amazing woodwind instructors. We've got Alec, one of our front desk employees and also an amazing woodwind clarinet player. We have Arlene, a flute instructor extraordinaire, and myself, Mike Tuttle, who is the only brass player in the room today. So we'll see where these go. Hey, you know, any of you that have been in music for any length of time have probably been in some kind of a performance opportunity. Maybe it was in band, maybe it was in the church Christmas recital when your mom put you in that, you know, red dress or the red bow tie and put you up on stage, or any number of performances from then on out. And if you've done any number of them, what you realize is they all don't go perfectly. There are things that happen in performances that you just can't predict. And one of the things we know when we instruct students talking about is things are going to happen. So what you really have to learn to do is just have to learn how to comfortably move through. You know, it's why we practice, why we train, why we do those things. But the reality is you just got to move through the stuff sometimes. So we thought we'd get together today and maybe share some of those what could happen stories as we've grown up as musicians. So Sarah, this was your idea. I'm going to let you jump in the water first.
So the funniest story that I could think of happened to me when I was in high school. I went to Valley Vista High School, and we were on our way to our area festival. We were all so prepared, gung-ho, like we got this, and everything went wrong that day. We were walking to the performance stage, and I was holding my bass clarinet. It was one of those bass clarinets that come apart in the middle, and out of nowhere, the bottom joint just falls on the floor. And I'm holding it, I'm like, what just happened? And yeah, my lower joint did not work for that entire performance. So there was no low, deep bass clarinet in that performance.
Nice.
Oh yeah. And then on stage, one of the percussionists dropped the suspended cymbal during our like slow ballad piece. Oh yeah, out of nowhere, like it was like, yeah. And then we left someone there, and we left on the bus.
Oh no!
That's a memorable day of performance.
Oh
right
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah.
One you will never forget.
I will never forget that day ever.
Goodness. Well, Miss Arlene, you and I kind of joke about that. We've been doing this just a wee bit of time here doing this thing here. So I know there's a few stories. What's one of the ones you brought today?
When I was in high school, I was invited to play in the community band, the area community band in Farmington, Michigan, and it was made up of a few of us students, but mostly adults, and it was just kind of a fun place to play. I had a big solo coming up. It was actually a duet with first chair clarinet, and she was an adult and a wife of the band director, so I thought, oh, this is a huge honor. And we were coming up to it in the middle of the performance, big moment, and all of a sudden, crash, bam, boom, and I even felt it through the floor, and I thought, well, I'm going to keep playing. Nothing has knocked the flute out of my hands. And found out later there was a gentleman, a rather large gentleman. We were seated in tiers. I was on the floor. He was up on the third tier, and he was rocking back and forth in his chair and rocked back a little too far, and bam, over he went, backwards, off the third tier in the middle of this performance. And of course, since his instrument landed on him, he cracked at least 2 or 3 ribs.
Oh no.
But that was a moment that taught me to always be humble. You know, like, oh, that was supposed to be my glory moment with the first clarinet, and it's like, be humble. So, yep.
Well, they do say the show must go on,
The
right?
show must go on.
Goodness gracious.
Yes.
Mr. Alec, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got just a pretty classic story. We were playing my junior year. One of our band director's favorite pieces ever was a piece called This Cruel Moon by John Mackey. and we were at this really, it was just a 7-minute long ballad with all kinds of ups and lows, and it was just at this really silent moment, kind of a break in the music, and the first chair bass clarinet player's phone goes off right in the middle of silence, and he was a senior. But like I just looked at him and I just knew he was pretty upset. And the band director was just, he does not let us forget about it to this day.
I would bet not.
So.
You know, granted, again, one of the benefits of playing when Arlene and I did, there weren't any phones at least. It wasn't until late in my teaching career that I actually had to start coming up with the, hey, let's make sure we turn off your cell phones.
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was trying to pick through which stories, whether we're talking funny stories or humbling stories, or they're good stories too. They're really moments you got to go. I think probably one of the most memorable ones, it was kind of like your story. This was a moment of a concert that really was the greatest potential concert of my life. As a young trumpet player, I was a sophomore at Central Washington University, and we had invited Doc Severinsen to come and perform with our jazz band. I was in the top jazz band that year at our Parents' Weekend, which is a big deal. It was the big spring event for the college, and we were doing the closing concert. They brought in the entire Tonight Show book of tunes.
Oh,
like,
wow.
I was literally playing out of the book they brought from the Tonight Show. It was just amazing stuff. And we were playing, was it? From Cats, was it Memories?
Yes,
Memories?
Memories.
Yeah,
Memories.
And all the rehearsals had gone great, everything was going, the concert was going great. We hit, there was this entry point where the rhythm section was out, and our bass player jumped in like a bar early. And so we played the next entire phrase with the bass player 1 bar ahead of the form. And literally, Doc, he's playing the solo up front, walks back into the rhythm section at the top of his lungs. I used to have a tape of the concert, he was clear as day. Let her be! I mean, the bass player, look on his face was just like, he was done. I remember it as if I was there to this day, because, here's this moment, like you said, the moment that was supposed to be the greatest of all time. But it was still a great concert. And I still got to play with Doc Severinsen, so
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was part of a professional flute quartet, Flutes Uncommon, and we played around town at various events. I have been to one of the National Flute conventions held, but this one particular one I couldn't go to, and my 3 quartet mates decided to go together. So they're off in one of their rooms playing through some music they had bought and wanted to read through to see if they wanted to buy it, for our group. And they're playing, and all of a sudden they get a knock on the door, and a very polite British gentleman says, "I say, I heard you playing. Could you use another voice?" "Oh, sure, our 4th member," that was me, "couldn't be here, so come on in." Well, we had a member of our group who had started the group, and her nickname should have been Bossy Flossie. I mean, she wanted to tell everybody what to do and exactly how to do it, which she was a fabulous player, one of the best piccoloists, even up there with my own teacher who played with the Detroit Symphony. She was fabulous, but they're reading through this music, having fun, but she's telling this gentleman exactly how to play each piece, all the articulation, everything, phrasing, da-da-da-da-da. And after a while, he gets up and he says, "Thank you so much for letting me sit in, but I must go put on my tuxedo. I've got a concert." It turns out this guy was Sir Paul Edmund Davies, first principal flutist of the London Symphony Orchestra. And Bossy Flossie had told him exactly what to do, and I about died when I heard this story.
Yeah, that's classic.
That's
classic.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. This was my junior recital in 2019. I was playing this piece called Cookbook. So it's
fun.
Yeah, it's a Latin-inspired piece, or each movement, the composer wrote it based off like family stories. So like the first movement is called Heirloom. Second movement's Bubbles. Third movement is, oh no, I was wrong. I don't remember what the first movement's called, but it's Bubbles, Heirloom, and then the last movement's called The Last Night of the House in Flamenco or something like that. Yep. And so I was playing the last movement of this piece, and the piece requires the page turner to get up and start like clapping and stomping during a portion of the movement.
Okay.
Yeah. I asked the percussion teacher at my school at GCC if he would be the page turner for this piece. He was like, yeah, and I have so many ideas. He gets an electric cajon. Electric cajon.
What is that?
So a cajon is like a box drum that you usually sit on to play.
I know what that is.
So he got an electric cajon to play and then gave a regular cajon to the pianist to sit on to play during this. And I was like, you know what would be really funny if I got some flowers for all of us to put in our hair. So all of us had flowers in our hair during this piece. And during this section, when he gets up and starts playing the electric cajon, he takes the flower out of his hair, puts it in his mouth, starts playing. And all I remember is like playing and hearing laughing in the crowd. And I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, did I mess up that bad? And I look over and I see him with the flower in his mouth. And I was like, it wasn't me. It's okay. Keep going.
Right. The sideshow.
Oh yeah.
An electric cajon, that's funny.
I've never heard of an electric one.
Oh yeah. He was like, I have so many ideas. Let's do this. And I was like, cool.
Oh,
You
funny.
know, talking about recitals, I was a nervous young trumpet player for many, many, many years. I was great in a section. I was just comfortable there. But had a real challenge with solos, right? Well, obviously, a lot of our own students, we're trying to get them to get that comfortability. So I was in college, and it was probably my sophomore year in college, and they had this, every Thursday at 2 o'clock, there was what they call convocation, which is where all the instructors, you know, they put 6 or 8 students for solos. Everybody's supposed to come down and see them, kind of get that recital process going. So I was signed up for the 2 o'clock convocation recital. I do not remember the name of the piece, but it was written by the head of our department, by the head of the music department at Central Washington University. And I hit the stage, and every nervous thing that could have happened, happened. Could not develop one bit of saliva in my mouth, my breathing was tight, I was shaking. I knew he was in the audience. And I mean, I just axed that piece to death, right? Quavering, long notes. At one point I went up to a high C, I took it down and off. I mean, just stuff, right? And this was my first college on stage by myself
It's
thing.
terrifying.
And so afterwards, another day I went to my private lesson, and I was like, well, I'm Mr. Pereiro. And this was my trumpet instructor. He looks at me and goes, huh? He goes, well, I talked to Dr. White about your performance. I said, oh, you did? He says, yeah. All he said was, does he always play it like that?
Oh, no.
I remember that to this day. I'm like, oh, that may have been the most excruciating 4 minutes of my life. But I will say that having had that experience, I realized it could never be that bad again.
There you go.
But it was terrible. I mean, I'm sure there was probably sweat pouring down my face too. I mean, you know, the lights and things.
The summer before, I was a freshman in high school. That was my first summer at Interlochen Music Camp. And I was really excited to just be immersed. You know, they had everything there. They had creative writing, they had theater, they had singing, they had all kinds of instruments. We got to actually play in our band outdoor overture under Aaron Copland. That's how old I am. And I was just thinking, he's a nice old man. I didn't realize, except through the years, how impressive that was. Well, this was not so much in a performance, but a rehearsal. And I was never so glad to be a flute player in my life, because all of a sudden he stopped the whole group and said, trombones, can you give me one good reason why you're playing right here? And I thought, thank you, God, I'm a flute player. And the section leader timidly raises his hand. He said, you wrote us a part here, Mr. Copeland. And that you could hear crickets then, dead silence. Mr. Copeland burst out laughing, and he said, I don't know what I was thinking, so get out your pencils. And I just, again, so grateful to be a flute player, not a trombone player, but I was thinking back through the years, hoping that young man had saved that manuscript and had him, Mr. Copeland, sign it.
Yeah. Mr. Copeland.
Mr.
That's
Copeland.
crazy.
Mr.
That's crazy,
Copeland.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about some of the things that happen on the humorous or the awkward side. Let's be honest, there are so many other things that happen on the absolutely stupendous and cool and experiential side. There are memories that go down, whether they were humorous or whether they were gratifying, whatever. They're just memories that I think that we folks in music get to experience differently than some other genres. You know, I don't mean to toss anybody under the bus, but I don't think the math teachers have quite the same set of experiences. No, I'm going to get emails about that. No. I mean, I'm thinking about, when you talk about guest conductors and stuff, there was this guy, gentleman, Charles Whitworth, who came to our college, and little statements that stick out. He looked at a college wind ensemble, a very good college wind ensemble. Hey guys, if you have the thought to do something musical, do it. You're probably right. You know, just that sense of like, don't just not do anything. You know, and it to me that kind of changed my life. It changed my thought about music in every step of the way beyond that. Or when John Painter in a clinic said, hey, has anybody had a situation where you walked into class and you were really excited to teach your lesson, you started teaching, but the kids weren't listening, they weren't engaged, and you were getting frustrated? You know, everybody's hand in the room. When it was the band directors, yeah, oh yeah. He goes, well, when that happens, go right back in your office and replan because you didn't prepare well enough.
Oh.
You know, so you talk about these mentors that come in these moments of things, or some of the things that I think are the performance pieces themselves. You and I talk about Frank Ticheli quite a bit, and what an amazing composer. He did an arrangement of Shenandoah that I had the privilege to teach in high school, really my best wind ensemble kind of at the time frame. And just the concept of being able to come to the end of that tune and just let it fade to nothing. You know, chills running up and down my arm, not a peep in the audience. And you could just hold them there. And you look around the kids, and the kids' eyes are just like wide open because they recognize what's occurring right there. Also, you captivated that. I mean, those stories are also, there's thousands of those stories from all of us. They're just always there. So let's shift just a little bit. Let's talk about the coolest musical moment that you guys have ever had.
Prepared for that one.
No, I jumped at it. Quick segue.
I have one.
Yeah?
I have one too, but you can go first.
Why don't you go?
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, so it was when I was at GCC, and we had gotten the piece Armenian Dances. I don't know if you guys know that piece. It's a wind band piece. And we rehearsed it like crazy. We were not very good at it. It's a pretty difficult piece, like grade 4, grade 5.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty difficult, and we're just a community college band. No one expects us to be good. And then we get up there for the concert, and everything went like perfectly. It was probably one of the best performances I've ever given in my life. Third chair clarinet, rocking out the third part, because third part was really cool in that piece, but like, I just think as a band, like it was just so good.
Yeah.
And we'd never played anything like that before. Still, like I still do wind ensemble all the time, and it's probably still one of my best performances.
Go ahead, Arlene.
I got to solo. I won the senior concerto competition my senior year at Western Michigan University, and I got to solo with the school orchestra in Miller Auditorium, and this is going to date me. It was brand new, but I had the most unbelievable waiting room with a whole wall of mirrors with the round lights and everything. I mean, I could have done cartwheels in it. We probably could have run some football plays in it. I was in marching band too. It was just the most amazing thing. I had the same dressing room that anybody else who comes in professionally to play gets, and I just thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, Mr. Alec?
So this is a marching band story. My sophomore year marching band, our theme was kind of 80s, 70s rock. So we had Bohemian Rhapsody and Careless Whisper. I know that's not rock, but that kind of music in there. And it was my favorite. You know, it was super cool, and everyone in the audience loved it because, you know, all the parents,
Yeah.
that was their music growing up. So we got to state semifinals where we'd have to make top 8 to qualify for finals. And we got through our entire show. Standing ovation. You know, we did amazing. And then we got 9th place.
Oh, right there. Yeah.
And then like all of the seniors and stuff were crying because, you know, they didn't make it to finals their senior year or whatever. And I was like, who cares, man? We were the only band on that field that got a standing ovation at the end. Like, that was awesome. That was the best we've ever done. It doesn't matter.
That's going to be with you. Trust me, that'll be with you longer than anybody that finished 3rd, 2nd, or 1st.
Yes.
I tell you, that's be great.
Yes.
I have a marching band one also, so obviously as a trumpet player, I get jazzed about some marching things. My college band, again, Central Washington, we got to go play halftime show for the Seattle Seahawks over in the old King Dome in Seattle, which was an enclosed dome stadium. But the acoustics in that stadium had this kind of swirling, like really almost amplification of sound sort of thing. And I remember we did this halftime show, and my adrenaline was through the roof.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the last note I played on the show was. I think it was a high double G or something like that. But I hit that thing so wickedly good. And I swear I heard my note just shoo into this cycle of sound and out of the audience. I was just like chills up and down my body. I remember that. It was so amazing.
Neat.
Yeah. You know, we got stories up the kazoo as people, and I think we're going to come back again. I think Sarah's going to have us come back with a bigger panel or a different panel, and we'll
Different
talk
panel.
more
Let's
stories.
get more people in here.
Yes.
I think the important thing probably for us all to hopefully have people hear from us is the inspiration is always there.
Mm-hmm.
The journey isn't always smooth.
Yes.
There are bumps and trips and steps and great things and all sorts of stuff, and you have to work hard to get to some really cool moments. But it's worth that every one of those steps of the journey, you know, and the ability to be a musician and teach music and play music and perform music and share music and and realize an audience that so appreciates and was able to experience what you guys gave them. All of that stuff, I think, is what makes us all going forward. So, anyone else got anything to add?
No? If you want to come do a video with us, let us know. Email Mike.
We would love to have your inspirational stories too. We would love to have those. So again, our phone number here is 623-465-7060. My email is mike@rhapsodyschoolofmusic.com. Our website is Rhapsody Music AZ. We so appreciate you tuning into these videos. Please find us on Facebook and like us. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to us. Hit us up on Instagram and heart us or like us there. And what else do they need to do? Smash, tap, grab, boom, all of that fun stuff. On behalf of Sarah and Alec and Arlene and all of us here at Rhapsody Music, thanks so much for joining us and have a blessed afternoon.